So there was a decision made in the world of college basketball. JT Toppin, one of the better players down the stretch in the NCAA, he decided, you know what? Go ahead and stick around another year. I'm going to go ahead and stick around another year. He has decided to return for his third season in college. So he is going to be coming back to Texas Tech, and he will forego the opportunity to go to the NBA. Some draft experts have said that he's kind of a fringe first-round pick. I think ESPN had him in their mock draft as a second-round pick. He's got a lot of talent, but some people have said part of the decision making here is because of the NIL commitment, which I think is around $4 million or something like that he's going to be receiving.
Dang. Yeah.
So it's kind of nice for all the, there is some criticism to NIL and what it's done to college sports, but a guy like that who's a fringe first round pick can come back, develop more, and still get $4 million at the college level.
I think it's a really interesting topic because we're seeing this whole process play out, and I'm not sure it's supposed to work this way. And here's why I say this. Look, he's a sophomore, so he's coming back for his junior year, which, again, 4 years of eligibility. So there's nothing wrong with him coming back just from that perspective. Like, forget the money side of things. He's going to be a junior. Now, he was the Big 12 Player of the Year. And so he's got the talent and ability, obviously, to go to the NBA. But NIL was not created, at least in my opinion. It was not created to keep student athletes who want to become professional athletes from leaving college and going to start that profession. So the interesting thing about this is, if there wasn't NIL, if there wasn't the ability for Texas Tech and their collective and their one specific booster who's got deep pockets to be able to fund this, he'd be gone. And he'd be working on preparing himself for the NBA combine and the NBA draft and a lot of those workouts that come along with it. And there's a part of me that says it's a little messed up because you're taking away that opportunity from someone else. Like, there's a scholarship there, there's an opportunity there for someone else that no longer exists because of the system that we've created. And maybe that's not the right way this should work out. But this is the world we're living in now. So if you look at what he would have made had he been drafted, the first overall selection, which, Toppin was not looked at as that, but they'll make roughly $13.9 million. The fifth overall pick, roughly $9.1 million. The 10th, about 6.5, and the 20th. So essentially, to your point, Jonas, of where people have slotted him, he could make 4.1 if he was the 20th overall pick in the NBA draft. That's about the numbers based on the research. So he's essentially saying, like, I don't feel like I would have gone higher than 20th. And so that's the number that keeps me back here at Texas Tech, allows me to develop and become more than just a post player and continue to develop his skill set. So if and when he is drafted in the future, he can maybe improve upon that number. So it's an awesome strategy. It's great for him. But there is a part of me that thinks back to the days we played LaVar and goes, yeah, but you're taking up a spot from someone else. Like, usually when you had the opportunity, you had the chance to go pro, you went pro. Unless you want to come back and like finish your degree. That was one of the other factors, or maybe, come back, try to win a national championship, all that stuff. But you're going to see this more than ever before. And I think you're starting to see it, at least in football, with guys who are kind of like late round picks. Can they improve to mid round? Most guys, I think, in football who are slated to be first round picks typically take the opportunity to go. And it's in large part because they haven't been compensated to the magnitude that we're talking about. But I think we're approaching that point where even quarterbacks, the Carson Beck and some of the rumors what he's going to get paid, and Bryce Underwood, the kid at Michigan, what he supposedly signed up for and paid. There's going to come a time where a guy's not going to decide to go out in the draft because he's going to be compensated so much to come back and stay for another year in football. And I don't know what that number is going to be because the first overall pick is, a guaranteed 30-some million. And the signing bonus should be pretty substantial, more than that. But maybe at some point there'll be a booster that wants to actually open up his pocket and pay that sort of money to keep a guy for a year.
I think for now, these are exceptions to the rule. If we see more and more and more, if we see the numbers, if this becomes more of a norm where people are staying, then I think it turns into a bigger conversation. I definitely agree that if a guy, especially with the transfer portal being the way that it is, it has totally changed the way that some of these young people coming out of high school are navigating getting scholarships. Like it has totally changed recruiting forever. But in terms of a guy who's really good enough to go to the pros and stays in school, I mean, we've seen it a ton of times based off of academics, but we've never seen it based off of compensation. So I think if it becomes a thing, which, I mean, there's no reason to think that it wouldn't become a thing. If you have a guy that is as popular as some of these guys may be in school and what they may be able to leverage, like, I mean, we look at some of the numbers of the NIL and maybe it's being based upon what has to come out in terms of what a sum is, like what they would get from an NIL, deal with the collective or with a prominent booster or alum. But you got to think this thing is going to continue to evolve as well, and you'll be able to make money off of products, off of services. It could be any given amount of things. I mean, Travis Hunter launched his podcast during this year. There's the idea of you could generate a ton of money off of sponsorship and ad dollars connected to the audience. I mean, how many people you think were doing unique downloads and, whatever, listening to his podcast? So there are a lot of different ways to start monetizing yourself as an athlete now. But again, I still think that is more of, we're talking about exceptions to the rule. We're not talking about this has become the standard of how it's being done.
I wonder how many former players left early because they needed to help their family financially or needed to and could have used another year of development or could have used staying in longer, that if they would have had this as an option, it would have changed the course of their life, of their career, and maybe they would make a little bit of money, still be able to help out, but still get that development they need. And so I just look at it from that point. I go, maybe that aspect of it is a good thing. As far as staying too long and taking up a spot from somebody else, I just wonder how many people look at this and say, listen, I know maybe I can't make as much if I were to come out right now, but in the long run, this is better for me. So I'll take
money is a real separator. I mean, that's always been the key to all of this, right? Like even in finding recruiting violations or whatever it may be, like money and benefits have always been the root of all evil connected to college athletics. So the idea of it is that you think to yourself, the moment I can monetize myself, I'm going to do it. And that means going pro. Some people, I mean, look at Maurice Claret and how his career played out. And that all played out just because the dude wanted to go pro so that he could help his family. I mean, so these things are always going to be age-old discussions. But I do think that fine line of knowing that, I got to go pro if I'm going to get paid versus, if I stay in college, what are the benefits to staying in college? And you have to base it off of something totally different than financial gain. Other than to say, I'll get financial gain later on, whether that's through playing ball or through, you go figure, there are educational components of it where the things that you went to school for, you could actually build up to go make money off of that coming out of college. Like there is that idea, in academia. So it could be based off of your major, could be based off of what you can do in the game of football. You're going to live, if you're blessed enough, you're going to live more life than you're going to play football, right? If we're just keeping it to football, but this is basketball. I mean, you could play a lot of basketball, and clearly we talked about golf. You could play golf till you die. You just got to be athletic enough to get out of the bed, I guess. and put on your Depends. But,
Damn.
but I'm just saying, you're looking at the longevity of playing a professional sport versus putting yourself in position academically to be able to create a life for yourself well beyond playing the sport. I mean, those are things that you got to take into consideration. So I think that it's more or less looking at it from the standpoint of that differentiator is not there anymore. The money the differentiator is not there.
You weren't impressed with Jack Nicklaus's swing there at 84, 85 years old?
I mean, I'm just joking.
I think
it's not even a big deal.
Do you think you could beat Jack Nicklaus in golf?
I think I could beat his ass.
Damn.
Yeah, how about that?
Wonder what he would shoot right now.
I mean, I don't know. I'd be thinking like maybe a 44, 44 cal.
Jesus.
Desert Eagle.
What?
With talons. You said, well, I'm going to shoot.
Oh, I got you.
I'm 46, bruh.
Damn.
Either my burner or my burner.
Wow. That'll wrap up our coverage of the NIL situation. And to JT Toppin, good for you. Make a little bit of coin before you go to the NFL.